Good evening, everyone. Isaiah chapter 53. Plain and simple. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Is it about ancient Israel? Is Isaiah chapter 53 about a singular individual, i.e., the Messiah? Is Isaiah chapter 53 about Jesus, as he's called in the Christian world, called Yeshua in the Messianic world? Is it possible that Isaiah chapter 53 could possibly be about both? Well, in today's short video, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep it short, that will be the broad focus today. Having said that, Shalom Lachem, Anashim Tovim, Uvruchim Habaim La'arut Zakatan Sheli. Welcome back to my little channel, to this latest edition, Passover edition of Podcast Sacrum, where the goal is to empower the believer with biblical knowledge that will bring about balance, and that balance would foster positive, forward, and upward movement in this walk that we call life. My name is David, and I am your host. I hope you're ready. Have you removed all of the hametz from your house or the leaven? You still got a little time, but I hope you have a great Passover, not only with your own family in your own home, but also with a greater body of believers, if it's possible. So why is this topic so important for people who believe in Jesus, believe in Yeshua? Well, in Acts chapter 8, we see the story of the Ethiopian eunuch who was reading Yeshayahu Perek Nun Gimel, Isaiah chapter 53, on a chariot. And the New Testament clearly connects Jesus, Yeshua, to Isaiah chapter 53. On the road back from Emmaus, when Yeshua is walking and the men encounter him, he talked about how all of the prophecies about him in the Tanakh and in the Tehillim, in the Psalms, had to have been fulfilled. So what I want to do here quickly and as expeditiously as possible is I want to take us here to Matthew chapter 21. Matthew chapter 21. And the first thing I want to say right off the top is this is about, no doubt about it, in the mind of this Texas boy, this is about Jesus. This is about Yeshua, the Messiah. Okay, there are times during and throughout the book of Isaiah where it parallels. Sometimes it's the nation, and other times it is about the Messiah himself, about the Davidic King. I'm going to start us off here, and I think it's fitting too, not only because of the time that we're in right now, the season that we're approaching, but I want to display the height of glory, the height of exaltation for this exalted servant that Isaiah prophesies about. Right here in Matthew chapter 21, starting with verse 8, as you can see on your screen there. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from the trees and strawed them in the way. Verse 9, and the multitudes that went before and that followed cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And when he was come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? And the multitude said, This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. So, first thing, they're yelling out, Hoshiana, Hoshiana. Hoshia means save. Na is like a plead, or it's really like begging. It's a desperate plea. Hoshiana, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed is he who comes in the authority, in the name. He was sent by the Most High. He was sent by Yud He Vav He. We are fickle. Thank you, Abba, that you are not like us, because unfortunately, some of the people that were standing in that crowd yelling Hoshiana was likely among the people who were yelling a week later, Slovoto, Slovoto, crucify him or instake him or impale him. But this is the height. It seems that the people have recognized him, that they have acknowledged his messiahship. This is the height. This is the exalted servant. First thing I want to offer to you is this. The exalted king is a holy king. He was profaned and he was made dirty. The language that we're going to take a look at in Isaiah chapter 53 paints a clear picture that all of the fault of the people was laid upon this individual, this righteous king, this holy king. And as a result, he was sullied, he was dirtied, he was made filthy. He bore, and that's the key word, nasa. He bore the iniquities, all of the sins and the crimes and the transgressions. Let's go there right now. I want to share Isaiah 53 with you in a way that I'm sure it's not groundbreaking. I'm sure you've seen plenty of videos and it's been shared with you. But I want to pay a close attention, and I want you to pay a close attention to the language. Hebrew is a language to where you can have a single word that can have multiple meanings. But when you're reading a given text, especially an ancient text, the action of the verbs are always placed on someone or something. And in that case, you have to be careful with the translation, and you have to also be sensitive to when more than one word is suitable or is fitting. In some cases, if you leave out one of the two or one of the three words that are possible, you can lose some of the meaning or the intent of the author. So Isaiah 53, we're not going to go all the way through this because there's simply not time. I'm going to select verses as we go along at random that I believe speaks specifically to where we're trying to go. So I want to make sure that you can see the English, and I'll highlight certain words that are important. So, of course, the opening of the chapter, it says, Mi he'emin lish mu'atenu. Who will believe, or who has believed our report, that thing that's going out and falling into the ears of the people? Uzro'a Adonai al min niglata. And the arm of the Most High, to who has it been revealed? Verse 2, Vaya'al kayonek lefanav. He shot up, right up out of the ground, like a sapling out of dry ground, right? V'chashorish me'eretziyah, like a root from the dry ground. Lo to'arlo. Lo to'arlo. So he doesn't have any particular good looks. There's nothing fancy about him that will make your head whip around. Okay. This person. Okay. And I want you to pay attention to words like lo in this case. Lo, it means to him or for him. Not lo as the negation word, lo, spelled with a lamed aleph, but this is lamed vav. Okay. So there's no particular handsomeness to him. And there's a negation word right next to it that I was speaking of. The difference between lo, lamed vav, and lo, lamed aleph, which means no. Velo hadar, there was no splendor, there was no radiance to him. Venir'ehu velo mar'eh venehmedehu. So nothing that we would look upon him that would make us ooh la la, and as it says there in the English, to delight in him. Now we're going right into the rough part, because the reason why I read from Matthew 21 is because I want you to keep in your head Yeshua fulfilling the prophecy of Zechariah, and he's sitting on the donkey that's never been ridden by another person, and people are waving palm fronds and they're laying clothing and all these other things down into the road, and he's riding in through the gate into the old city, the Ir HaAtikah, the ancient city of Jerusalem, and he's coming in as the triumphant king. Keep that in mind and watch what's getting ready to happen to him. Verse 3, Nivzeh. He was despised, hated with a purple passion. Nivzeh v'hadal ishim. And he was abandoned or forsaken completely by men. Ish machovot. So the root word there is ke'ev or ko'ev. That means pain. You know, you tell someone you're hurting me. Ata mach'iv li, mach'iv. Machovot is pains, multiple pains. So ish machovot, a man of pain, v'yadua holi, and a man who is acquainted with sickness and or disease. Right here, this word v'yadua, the root word da, to know, yodea. So widely known or fully known, yadua, he is fully acquainted with sickness, with malady, with disease. Uchmaster panim mimenu, and like one to not be regarded, master panim mimenu, we hid our faces from him. We paid him no mind. You know, when you encounter a person that you know that's getting ready to ask you maybe for some change or to donate or to help them with something, and you immediately turn away. I'm not judging you. You know, I've done and I do it. You know, and when you go to walk away, that same type of thing. No one wants to pay him any mind. Nivzeh velo hashavnuhu. He was despised, and we did not hashuvnuhu. You get esteem, but the root word there is chet, shin, and vet. Chashav, to think about, or to give honest thought. We didn't give him any thought, the writer is saying. We didn't give him any thought. He was that unimportant to where he doesn't even merit a fleeting thought. Look at verse 4. It says here, achen, or therefore, or surely, of a certainty. Achen, halenu hu nasa. And there's a word that I was pointing out and I mentioned at the opening of the video. Nasa, to bear, to carry. As opposed to the Passover lamb, which of course the Pesach lamb is not a sin offering. Never has been. Isaiah 53 has more of a feel of the scapegoat. The goat that's offered to the Most High. And then the scapegoat that ends up with the sins placed upon it by the priest in a ceremonial way. And then he's sent out of the camp. He's sent away from his people. He's cut off from the land of the living. Keep that thought process in mind. Okay. Then it says, Umachovenu svalam, and our pains, he suffered, or he carried them. Okay. Our sickness, our illness, our maladies, all of our pains, those things he bore, nasa and saval. He bore them and he carried them. Va'anachnu hashavnuhu nagua. And we esteemed him or considered him stricken. Muke Elohim, stricken of God, ume'uneh, and that he was afflicted, poor, destitute. Are you starting to get the picture yet? And can you identify with what I'm trying to paint here? The triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And you'll see what I mean about the desecration here in the next verse. Verse 5. It says, Vehu mehulal mipsha'inu. Vehu mehulal. Now pay attention to this word, mehulal. The root word there is hol. That's a het and a lamed. It means to profane, to make common, to dirty. Okay, this is, if you want to, something to have in your mind when Yeshua says that the salt, if the salt loses its savor, what good is it for? It's to be thrown out and to be trodden under feet, just like the sand. That's why sand in Hebrew is also hol, hol. The same word is profane as sand, because sand is common, sand is everywhere, and people walk and trample on sand with nasty feet. So vehu meholal mipsha'enu, he was desecrated, he was made dirty, he was stripped of sanctity and sanctification by way of our crimes. Mipsha'enu, by way of our crimes. Meduka me'avotenu. Meduka, crushed. He was crushed. From what? Me'avotenu. And when I said at the top of the video that the verbs act on something or someone, what I want you to notice is that you'll see this prefix, me, in front of words. Me avotenu, from our eyes wide open sin and our rebellion. So meduka, crushed. Crushed by what? From. Hebrew expresses it from something instead of English saying by. But meduka me avotenu, and he was crushed from our eyes wide open sin, the rebellion, the thing that we do, the things that we do when we know better. We have plenty of time to think about it, but we go ahead and do it anyway. And notice the mecholal, or the meholal, being dirtied or being stripped of sanctity. Again, there's the me and me prefix. Me pishainu. He was dirtied or stripped of his sanctity from our crimes. On different level of sin. You have avon and you have pesha. You have het. Okay, so the pesha is like a crime. A crime. It's just it's a sin, a dirty sin. Avon is something that you know well better, and you likely may have plotted it, and you went ahead and carried on through it. You had plenty of opportunities to go the other way. Musar shlomenu alav. The word alav, upon him. Upon him. So musar means, it's like instruction, something that a teacher would give, but it's also a regulation and or requirement. It's a lesson. This is why you see the word chastised a lot of times in English. It doesn't quite wash completely, but know that the requirement, the instructed requirement that would bring us shalom. So the chastisement or the requirement, the structured requirement that would make us whole, Allah, was on him. Again, it's on him. It's acting on him. The thing that would make us whole, that would repair the breach, is on him. And then here's something that's quoted quite often by believers. Uvahavurato nirpalanu. And with his stripes and with his lashes, we are healed. Again, are we talking about a person here, or are we talking about a people group? Now, in all fairness, the language that's been used here, alav, upon him, can also be upon it, because which is a people, Israel, it could be, it's a masculine word. So alav, it could be. Okay, let's be fair. And this is why I said it weaves in and out. But you'll see by the time we cover these last couple of verses here, because again, this will be too long and I want to attempt to hold your attention. You will see clearly that it is about an individual and not about a people group. Okay, we are healed by his stripes. Here's one that should cut you in the heart here. Verse 6. Kulanu katson ta'inu. All of us, like sheep, we have turned or strayed. Ish ledarko paninu. Every man to his own road or his own path. Vadonai hifgiabo, and the Most High has heaped upon him and wounded him in the process of doing so. Hifgiabo et avon kulanu, and there's that word again. You saw it as avonotenu, our rebellion, our eyes wide open sin. But it says the Most High, and here's an important word, hifgia is causative. The Most High has heaped upon him or upon it, okay, we're going to be fair, the rebellion and the eyes wide open rebellion of us all. The Most High has heaped this upon him, or has caused this to go upon him. Bo, right here, as you see where my arrow is, Bo is on him or on it, if we're talking about a people group. Okay, we're going to speed up a little bit here. Verse 7. Nigas vehu na'ane. Nigas, Nigas, it implies he or it, okay? This is a form of pressure. It's oppression, but it's placed under extreme pressure to crack or to break. So oppression is okay, but it's applied pressure to a person. Okay, think about in the garden. Nigas vehu na'ane. He was oppressed, but he humbled himself. He was under extreme pressure, but he humbled himself. This is the Davidic King. This is the one who was promised a kingdom that would never ever end, and that his flesh would not see corruption. And yet, at the height of all of the miracles, at the height of raising Elazar from the dead, and on, and riding into the gate triumphantly, here he is under extreme pressure, but yet he humbles himself. The Davidic King, the Holy King, the one who is sanctified, has now been dirtied. A quick note before I forget about the word meholal. Okay, verse 5, but he was wounded. It means wounded as well. This is why I mentioned that the words can have multiple meanings. Sometimes you need to use them all, but you need to make sure that if you use only one, that you explain the semantic range. In this case, meholal on the most mundane level means to bruise. But in this case, meholal means to profane or to desanctify. And in doing so, this is how he was bruised. Clear? Okay, cool. He humbled himself. And here's that phrase, Velo yiftah piv, and he did not open his mouth. Kaseh letevah yuval, like a lamb led to the slaughter, or sheep led to the slaughter. Uch Rachel lifnei gozezea ne'elema. Rachel, and like a lamb, lifnei gozezeha, before her shearer, ne'elama, he went mute. He went mute. He went dumb, and he would not say a word under all of this pressure. And again, he doubles down on it again. Velo yiftah piv, and he did not open his mouth. Now, here we go. We're getting ready to dispel the myth of this being about a nation. And we're going to show and allow the text to translate the text, to determine the text, to interpret the text. One of the most important verses here is right here. Me'otzer umimishpat lukah. Okay, so by oppression and by judgment, lukah, he was taken. Ve'et doro miyasoheach. And for the generation that he was in, who argued for him, or who pleaded for him, or who made anything, who spoke up for him? Ki nigzar hayim. Now, here's the part that's really important. Ki nigzar me'eretz hayim, because he was cut off from the land of the living. And there goes a problem for those who want to insist that this is about a people. Because remember, the writer is someone who's from among ancient Israel. And he says, Mi pesha ami nega lamo. So mi pesha ami, because of the sins of my people, nega lamo, the strike or the blow was for them. So in this case, lamo, for them, or for him rather, for him, this word lamo is modifying ami, my people. Remember, I told you that am is a masculine word. So in this case, he says, mi pesha ami, because of the sins of my people, nega lamo. Nega is a stroke or a blow or a lash. Lamo, the stroke was for him or for it. So a people cannot be cut off from the land of the living because of the sins of the same people. How can the same people be cut off from the land of the living because of themselves, and because of the stroke that was due them? Because if the stroke was due them, the greater Jewish world says that that's who's receiving the stroke. But in this case, you can see clearly that it is not the case. It's not the case. Mi pesha ami. He mentions his people. The sins of his people, the sins of Isaiah's people is the cause of this individual receiving this foul treatment. Why? Because for his people, nega lamon, the stroke was due to them. So this individual steps into the place of the people and he takes the stroke or the lash that they would do. Clear? Okay, a little bit more here and we're almost done. Verse 9, Vayiten et reshaim kivro. And he was given, or he was buried with the rich, with the wicked rather, reshaim, the wicked, ve'et ashir bemotav, and with the rich in his death. Alo Hamas asa, even though no violence, he had done no violence. The New Testament talks clearly about what happened in the garden, buried in the tomb of a rich man. Velo mirma bepiv, and there was no lofty speech in his mouth. Mirma, the root being ram, which means high. If you've ever heard of the town in the West Bank called Ramallah, Ram, or Yirmiyahu, the prophet Jeremiah, this is the root of his name, lofty. So mirma is lofty speech. There's no guile, no deceit. There's no flattery in his mouth. So I would have to ask people who keep fighting for the notion because they have an issue with Yeshua being Messiah. That's fine. I would have to ask them, how long will you hold up this thing? At what point has Israel, or even a remnant of Israel, been so holy, okay, that they've never had any guile in their mouth? At what point, at any point in Israel's history, have they been so sacred and so holy to the point to where they could be seen in the light that Isaiah sees them in order to be sullied or in order to be made dirty? Good luck with that. You're going to burn a lot of brain cells trying to do that. Verse 10, we're almost done. Vadonai hafetz dako, and Adonai, or the Most High, he sought to crush him. It pleased him. Hafetz, he desired to crush him. Heheli intasim asham nafsho. He crushed him, put him under this pressure. Again, remember, and the Most High, hifgiabo, avon. He heaped all of these things upon him. Nigas, the word that you saw, underneath all this pressure. And he did this to see if he would offer his soul up as a guilt. If he would go through this to the point to where he would offer his soul up for a guilt offering. Yir'eh zera ya'arich yamim. He will see restitution and or seed. Okay? And he will prolong his days forever and ever and ever. Amen. A kingdom that will never end. V'hefetz Adonai biyado yatzliach. Because it is the desires of the purpose of the Most High. And the Most High by his hand will prosper him. Here's the last verse I want to share with you. And I want to highlight. Highlight the word again that I highlighted at the top. You're going to see it here. So it says, Lachen ahalech lo berabim. He says that he will divide among him and many the spoils. Velo atzumim yahalech shlal tahad asher he're'ah. Here's a word that I want to point out. He'erah. He'erah, its root means to be naked, to be stripped. You know, one of the most embarrassing things that can happen is to be stripped in public or searched and or humiliated and have everything laid bare and laid open. And this is what's being said here. Tahat asher, that's like saying a modern, that would be an ancient way of saying because of, these two words together, tahat asher, because he'era lamavet nafsho, he bared naked unto the point of death his soul. He'era also means to pour out, to just spill, and buried himself naked, uncovered. The hadar, the holiness, the sanctity that he once wore, the splendor, all of those things gone. You know, no one's saying Hoshiana anymore. No one's saying it anymore. Finally, ve'et push'im nimna, ve'hu het rabim nasa. Look at that. He didn't just take it away and give people a free ride. That's not the case, you guys. He didn't just take sin away and give people a free ride, or we can put him on and just wear him. No. Vehu het rabim nasa. And he, many sins, nasa, carried or bore. Okay? And he opened up the door by way of his obedience unto death and his offering of his own soul for the guilt of his own people first, and then by extension extended to whosoever would believe and become a disciple and follow and obey and pick up their stake and do what he did. Velaposhim, I need to get glasses. Yagia. And he made intercession for all of the sinners. For all of the sinners. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. And that's all. I hope that this was helpful for some. I hope it raises questions, criticisms. Maybe you can point me in the right direction. Maybe you can help me fix my errant ways. But around this time, as I've mentioned, this chapter becomes a big part of conversation. And when people think of Pesach, they also always think of a lamb. And that's fine. Yeshua is called the Lamb of God who bears or carries and takes away because he's bearing them and carrying them away into the Most High's sea of forgetfulness. But remember, the Pesach lamb, the blood was used to put on the door to seal from death. And that's what Yeshua did in doing what he did. This is how he lines up, and the only way that he lines up with the Pesach lamb, because the Pesach lamb was not a sin offering, but by his blood, he sealed us from death. In Isaiah, death will be swallowed up forever. Death has been swallowed up forever, and the Most High wipes away every tear from your eye. Or from the many faces, he wipes away the tears. He sealed us from death in that way. But more attuned to the Yom Kippur sacrifice, all of the sins in the rebellion, primarily, avon, the eyes wide open sin, the plotted things, the debauchery, all of these things were placed upon him. And he bore them and carried them away when he was sent out from the land of the living. And in a lot of ways, Yeshua has still been in exile all this time. 99 are home. One was lost. And he left to go and find. Okay, that's it for this latest edition. Take care, everyone. I hope to see you all real soon. Let me know what you think. If this has been a blessing to you in any type of way, building in any type of way, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing it. Start to this channel, subscribing it. subscribing to this channel. Keep the conversation going and reach out and let me know what you think. Okay. See you next time, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, not Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, Hag Sameach. The day is coming for Pesach, so I hope you have a great one. See you soon.